Chapter 81 Rescue Plan for Zhu Zhuqing, Dai Mubai takes whale gum, please. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Subscribe. The teacher of the theory class has always been Lu Qibin. He is very knowledgeable and seems to have been a member of a powerful force. But for some reason, he stayed at Shrek Academy. Note 1, Oscar didn't have much intention to understand this, so he didn't ask about it. However, in Oscar's view, Lu Qibin's knowledge was completely more practical than the so-called master. After all, in Lu Qibin's opinion, the master's so-called 10 core competitiveness theories have few merits, and most of the knowledge in them can be found in books, but one thing the master did very well is to subdivide the knowledge so that others don't need to look everywhere when looking at it. In fact, from Oscar's point of view, the master may have real talents and knowledge, but the main function of his 10 core competitiveness theories is actually to organize and summarize the things of the predecessors, so that it can be convenient for ordinary people and ordinary civilian soul masters. Inquire, it's just that the master shamelessly calls those things his own theories, which makes people feel a little cold, and if it weren't for his identity as the son of the leader of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect, how dare he, a great soul master with only 2 soul rings, be called a master of theory? It would be strange not to be beaten to death. There are hundreds of thousands of soul masters on Douluo Continent. Although 99% of soul masters are proud of their strength, a small number of them choose to study theory. After all, they also need to do some research for development. Lu Qibin studies theory because he likes it, so in his opinion, the master Yu Shaojiang is actually just sensationalizing. It was only because of Flanders and his own personality that he turned a blind eye to Yu Shaojiang. And it can be seen from the original work that Lu Qibin basically had no communication with Yu Shaojiang, and this is the reason, in the original work, the reason why Lu Qibin did not interfere with Yu Shaojiang's teaching of the Shrek 7 monsters was because the talents of the Shrek 7 monsters would not be lost to everyone. Otherwise, based on Yu Shaojiang's teaching methods, if there was no protagonist Tang San in Shrek 7 monsters, he would probably be defeated by Yu Shaojiang in 2 years. After all, it's a bit ridiculous that carrying rocks and running can become the main form of exercise. However, Oscar won't comment too much on this. As long as Yu Shaojiang doesn't affect him, he can turn a blind eye. It was theory class time in the morning. Oscar and Duguian were at the same table, and Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai were at the same table. Oscar naturally does not need to supplement theoretical knowledge now, because Lu Qibin knows it, and he basically knows it too. Oscar just studied his own things in his seat. When Duguian had questions, Oscar would only answer her questions. Oscar is sitting here just to accompany Duguian, and Oscar will not sit here forever. After Duguian entered the study state, Oscar left the classroom directly and went to Gaiyu. Now Oscar has fully mastered the 2 elements of ice and fire, but it will take a certain amount of time to practice to fully integrate these 2 elements with his sword and bring out their power, and Gaiyu is undoubtedly an expert in this aspect. After all, his Frost Moon sword is a sword spirit with ice attributes. In Gaiyu's swordsmanship, the role of ice attributes cannot be ignored, and Gaiyu was not stingy at all towards his student, and taught Oscar bit by bit his methods and experience on how to perfectly integrate elemental attributes with swordsmanship, without any reservation. In addition to learning kendo, Oscar will still practice with Zhao Wuji, mainly to use his gravity control to train his physical fitness. It must be said that Zhao Wuji's soul skill is not only invincible in battle, but also has great effects. In helping Oscar and Ma Hongjun practice, Zhao Wuji's soul skill also brought them a lot of help. During the afternoon training, Oscar will also take Duguian and Dai Mubai to practice together under Zhao Wuji's gravity control, while honing in on each other's soul skills and coordination. Needless to say, Duguian was at the peak of level 35 at the age of 16. Although his talent was somewhat inferior to that of Oscar and Ma Hongjun, he was better because of his good foundation and hard work, and Dai Mubai is now absolutely obedient to Oscar, and does not relax at all in the training arranged by Oscar, and sometimes he can even exceed the quota. A month passed in a blink of an eye. During this month of getting along day and night, Oscar's impression of Dai Mubai also changed greatly. Today's Dai Mubai is indeed different from the playboy in the original work, perhaps because of Ma Hongjun's previous discipline and Oscar's guidance, but no matter what, Oscar is still very satisfied with Dai Mubai's performance today. At least Dai Mubai now is ambitious, knows where his goal is, and will work hard accordingly. instead of being a self-destructive playboy like in the original work. During this period, Oscar also chatted with Dai Mubai and asked him why, as a prince of the Star Luo Empire, he actually came to the Tiando Empire and came to their small local college far away from the big cities like the imperial capital. If he had not spent time with Oscar, Dai Mubai would have used his words to deceive Oscar. However, after spending time together for a period of time, Dai Mubai's own mentality had also changed a lot. So when Oscar asked him this question, Dai Mubai smiled in relief and told Oscar the truth. His eldest brother was 7 years older than him. Although he was not as talented as him, he had an age advantage, so Dai Mubai had been living in the shadow of his eldest brother since he was a child. Although his life had not been threatened due to his age, the oppressive environment had always made Dai Mubai nervous, so when he turned 12, Dai Mubai retreated and chose to escape. But what he didn't expect was that after coming to Shrek Academy, his own mentality changed in just 1 year, and he also figured out a lot of things. In fact, Dai Mubai now regrets escaping like this. After all, he has not been alone since he was born, but has a fiancé fighting alongside him. It was just because of his own cowardice that he chose to escape alone, leaving his fiancé to face the same pressure that he had faced alone, and his fiancé is 2 years younger than him. That night, when Oscar asked this question, Dai Mubai stayed up all night and pulled Oscar to talk a lot about what was in his heart. Finally, he told Oscar that if possible, he wanted to go back, not to die, but to take his fiancé. Here at Shrek Academy, Dai Mubai felt true friendship, and this kind of friendship did not add any external things, and he has grown a lot here, so if he can take over his fiancé and the two of them can grow together, they may have the courage and confidence to face the consequences of fate together in the future. Oscar is quite happy about this. But Oscar doesn't want to disrupt the development of the original work, and a trip to the Star Luo Empire now will definitely waste a lot of time. Therefore, Oscar did not agree to go back to the Star Luo Empire with Dai Mubai to pick up his fiancé. I just patiently persuaded him. Since the matter has come to this, why not just let nature take its course? After all, this may be the best arrangement of fate. When Dai Mubai heard this, he hesitated for a moment, and finally decided to go back. Even if he might not be able to get out, he could no longer escape. What's more, Zhu Zhuqing is now facing the pressure from his elder brother and sister-in-law alone. Feeling Dai Mubai's determination, Oscar did not choose to stop him, but agreed with Dai Mubai's approach. Moreover, Oscar has also figured out that the worst outcome is that Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing will not appear in Shrek Academy, and there is actually no loss to him, and if Dai Mubai can really make up his mind, it will prove that he has grown up and his heart is firm enough. If he can have such a partner, then it will definitely be an honor for Oscar himself. So Oscar no longer stopped Dai Mubai, but chose to help him together. After all, only in this way could Dai Mubai be able to leave the Star Luo Empire smoothly, but before setting off, they can still make some improvements. Because of Dai Mubai's incident, Oscar, Flanders and others decided to use whale glue on Dai Mubai after discussion. However, Dai Mubai must keep this secret. This is Shrek's rule. If any information about whale gum is leaked from Dai Mubai, the Academy will blacklist him and then carry out endless assassinations. Oscar also made it clear to Dai Mubai about this. Although Dai Mubai was a little shocked that whale glue had such special effects, Dai Mubai also agreed to this condition. After all, there was no way he could disagree. After taking whale gum, Dai Mubai's physical fitness has been significantly improved, and his soul power has also increased from level 29 to level 30. The improvement in strength can be said to be huge. Now he only needs one soul ring to become a soul master, and as his strength increases, Dai Mubai becomes more confident in returning to the Star Luo Empire to take Zhu Zhuqing away. What's more, Oscar will help him now, so that Dai Mubai will have as little worries as possible. Moreover, when Dai Mubai took whale gum, Oscar also took the Wangchuan Qiushui pill that had been refined long ago. It has been more than a year since he took the star anise ice grass and fiery apricot jiaoshu. After successfully refining the medicinal power of the two immortal herbs, he no longer has any side effects when taking the Wangchuan Qiushui pill. Moreover, this will not waste its medicinal power. After taking the Lookout Chuanqiu Shui Dan, Oscar's mental power has been greatly improved, because the main function of this fairy herb is to enhance mental power, and Oscar refined it. It was turned into a pill and the potency was purified, so Oscar also received a huge improvement. Now Oscar's mental strength has completely caught up with his physical fitness, reaching the level of the Soul Emperor. In the future, as Oscar's strength improves and some of the remaining medicinal power in his body is refined, when Oscar breaks through level 40, his physical fitness and mental strength are likely to both break through the level 60 mark, reaching a level that is truly comparable to the Soul Emperor. If it could reach this level, Oscar's fourth soul ring would be a terrifying 30,000 years old, and if this is the case, Oscar's strength will be greatly improved, and his talent and heritage will be strengthened again, laying a solid foundation for his higher achievements in the future. Now more than a month has passed since Oscar and De Guyen returned to Shrek Academy. After Dai Mubai improved after taking whale glue, he followed Zhao Wuji directly to the Star Luo forest to obtain the third soul ring. Also accompanying him was Oscar, because after the three of them obtained the third soul ring for Dai Mubai, they would go directly to the capital of the Star Luo Empire and secretly take Zhu Zhuqing away. Gai Yu, Flanders, and the others did not come together because the target would be bigger if there were more people. Moreover, the Star Luo Empire is different from the Tian Do Empire. Not only does the Star Luo Empire far surpass the Tian Do Empire in military strength, but its power at the Soul Master level also crushes the Tian Do Empire, because the royal family of the Star Luo Empire has title Douluo, and the royal family and the Zhu family of the Duke's Palace possess the powerful and terrifying skill of martial soul fusion, which can double their strength. If he wanted to take someone away in the imperial capital, under the eyes of the royal family and the Zhu family, Oscar was actually not confident. However, looking at the plot of the original novel, Zhu Zhuqing and Dai Mubai were able to escape because of Emperor Xingluo's secret instructions. Otherwise, they would never have been able to get out of the imperial capital with two great soul masters of no more than 20 levels, so since it can be guaranteed that the emperor will not stop it and will even help secretly, then they cannot go in large numbers. Just giving the emperor a signal is enough. If the other party wants to cultivate their descendants by raising gu, they will naturally not put all their eggs in one basket, and when the time comes, Oscar and Zhao Wuji will not show off, they will just help Dai Mubai secretly. Whether they can take Zhu Zhuqing away in the end mainly depends on Dai Mubai. Similarly, it also depends on how Emperor Xingluo views the fight between his sons. However, according to the original situation, there is a high probability that the other party will not interfere with Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing's departure, and may even secretly facilitate this matter. If this is the case, Oscar has nothing to worry about. The only thing he needs to be vigilant about is to try not to expose any flaws when the time comes, and just take the person away safely. And even so, it doesn't change the original plot too much. It just allows Zhu Zhuqing to come to Shrek Academy more than a year in advance. This is innocuous. On the contrary, it is possible that because of this, the relationship between Zhu Zhuqing and Dai Mubai became closer, and their strength improved more rapidly. If this is the case, it will be a good thing for Oscar. After all, if he establishes a deep friendship with Dai Mubai and promotes him to the throne in the future, then Oscar can use Dai Mubai's power to plan more things. If it can succeed, many of the things Oscar wants to do in the future will be simple. Thinking about this, Oscar actually wants to train Dai Mubai well. As long as he doesn't live and drink like the original, he can definitely become a big help to him in the future. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me monthly. Please vote for me. Chapter 82 Gai Yu, Flanders Breakthrough. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After making preparations, Oscar and Dai Mubai were ready to follow Zhao Wuji early the next morning, but before the three of them could leave, a piece of good news came. Flanders, who had taken the 9th grade Hunyuan pill before and raised his strength to the peak of level 79, made a breakthrough. After several months of steady cultivation and the impact of seclusion, he finally broke through the 80 level mark, and this is more than 5 or 6 years earlier than he broke through level 80 in the original work. After all, Flanders was only level 78 2 years later in the original work. Flanders' breakthrough obviously disrupted Oscar's plan again. After all, Flanders had reached level 80, and Zhao Wuji was definitely going to help him hunt for the 8th soul ring. As for Flanders' breakthrough, Oscar himself is naturally happy. After all, this means that the strength of the forces behind him has once again increased. No matter what he does in the future, he will have stronger strength as a guarantee, and it's not over until everyone is happy. Good news also came from Gai Yu. He had successfully broken through to level 88, and his strength had improved again. Facing these two pieces of good news, the entire Shrek Academy was overjoyed. After all, the teacher's breakthroughs meant that the Academy's strength had improved. However, Flanders' breakthrough does not seem to disrupt Oscar's plan, because with Gai Yu's current strength, it is definitely more than enough to hunt down an 8th spirit ring for Flanders. After all, when Gai Yu himself had just broken through level 80, he could personally hunt and kill a 70,000-year-old soul beast. Now, not only has Gai Yu's soul power reached level 88, but he also possesses two pieces of 10,000-year-old soul beast. The improvement of the soul bone, coupled with the improvement of the martial soul by taking the Black Jade Divine Bamboo Pill. Even if Gai Yu's current exertion is enough to fight against a 100,000-year-old soul beast, it is even possible to hunt down a 100,000-year-old soul beast with his own strong strength. So even if the spirit ring that Flanders needs is a flying spirit beast, Gai Yu's own strength is enough to help Flanders obtain it. Therefore, there is no need for Zhao Wuji and other teachers to help. Gai Yu can take Flanders alone. It's enough for Ran to go. After discussing this result, the group rested for another day. The next day, under the leadership of Gai Yu, Flanders, and Zhao Wuji, Oscar and Dai Mubai left Shrek Academy and set off for the Star Luo Forest. Since Gai Yu followed to help Flanders obtain the 8th soul ring, he could easily take care of Dai Mubai's 3rd soul ring. After all, Gai Yu had already broken through to level 88, and his strength was comparable to that of Dai Mubai. For someone stronger than title Douluo, helping Dai Mubai obtain a 3rd soul ring is not easy. On the way, Flanders himself was always blushing. Now, he feels that his decision to leave Oscar at Shrek Academy was extremely wise. If it weren't for Oscar's presence, he might be able to break through to the Contra realm in this life, but it would definitely be several years or even more than 10 years later. But how many years has it been since you met Oscar? Oscar is only 12.5 years old now. In just over 6 years, he has reached level 80 from the original level 75. It can be said that he has broken through at least one level of soul power in a year, and this is not the realm of a great soul master, but a real soul saint. After reaching their level, every time a soul master breaks through a level, it takes a year or even several years of hard training. Now he has also tasted the treatment of those top geniuses. After reaching level 70, he can still achieve level 1 breakthrough every year. This is a great honor and opportunity for Flanders and even Zhao Wuji. After all, Zhao Wuji and Flanders were treated similarly. When Oscar enrolled, he was only level 73. Now he has reached level 78, only 2 levels behind Contra. Maybe in 2 years' time, he might be able to break through to the Contra realm, and like them, there is Dai Mubai. Dai Mubai actually feels that he is quite lucky. From his perspective, he just ran away for a few months when he was 12 years old and came to Shrek Academy. Then the trajectory of his life has changed. He met the super genius Ma Hongjun in the academy. He had been listening to the legendary story of Oscar from Ma Hongjun and the teachers at Shrek Academy. After more than a year of getting along with Ma Hongjun at Shrek Academy, and hearing teachers and Ma Hongjun in the academy often mention Oscar, Dai Mubai's own mentality also changed a lot. Until a few days ago, Dai Mubai inexplicably received the academy's reward for gifted students, whale gum, which suddenly improved his soul power and physical fitness tremendously, in the past year or so. Although he only spent more than a month with Oscar, he felt that as long as Oscar was there, it would be different. And Dai Mubai also feels that he is lucky enough. Shrek Academy is obviously a small local academy with almost no reputation, but there are so many geniuses gathered in this academy, and the teachers in the academy are more terrifying than the others. Not to mention Flanders and Zhao Wuji, especially Oscar's teacher Gai Yu, who is now level 88 and is only one step away from becoming a title Douluo. This is a high-level Contra, which is also a very important existence in the empire. The head of the Zhu family in the Duke's palace is only at this level. Such a person is actually willing to be a teacher in this small Shrek Academy. I have to say that Dai Mubai really feels that he is very lucky. He was lucky to come to Shrek Academy and met Oscar and Ma Hongjun. Without them, Dai Mubai felt that he might have been like this in his life. Decadent, fallen, it took the group more than half a month to arrive at the Star Forest. During this period, Flanders made some preparations for his 8th soul ring and locked several souls with cultivation levels of at least 50,000 years. Beast and Dai Mubai also told Gai Yu and the others about the soul ring he needed. There was no need to consider anything in obtaining his soul ring, because after so many years of development, the Dai family had already summarized the basics of the first few soul rings. Optimal configuration, his choice for the 3rd soul ring is the Vajra White Tiger. This kind of soul beast is also a top soul beast. It perfectly matches the White Tiger martial soul passed down by the Dai family. The 3rd soul ring absorbs this soul ring and can give him a spirit called the White Tiger. The powerful amplifying soul skill of King Kong transformation, this soul skill can be said to be Dai Mubai's main soul skill in the early stage, and it greatly improves his strength. However, there is one thing that Dai Mubai needs to change, and that is the age limit for absorbing spirit rings. After taking whale gum, his 3rd spirit ring can probably absorb at least 2,700 to 3,000 years of spirit rings. This improvement is unbelievable to Dai Mubai himself. After all, according to traditional cultivation methods, his 3rd soul ring will never last more than 2,000 years, but now he can absorb it for at least 1,000 years. For him, this is undoubtedly a huge improvement. It is also the beginning of his journey to catch up and surpass his big brother Davis. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me monthly. Chapter 83 Dai Mubai's 3rd Soul Skill. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When they arrived at the Star Luo Forest, Gai Yu and Flanders were separated from Zhao Wuji and the others, because the soul beast that Flanders needed was deep in the Star Luo Forest and on a different road from them. Oscar did not force this. After all, whether it was for himself or Gai Yu, time was money, even more precious than money, so after arriving at the Star Forest, the group of people separated. After each determined their destination, they set off directly without wasting any time. After parting ways with their teacher Gai Yu and the others, Oscar and Dai Mubai followed Zhao Wuji and went directly to a special place that Dai Mubai told them about. It was within the scope of the Star Luo Forest within the Star Luo Empire, and was located at the junction of the core area and the outer area. There is a group of Vajra white tigers there, numbering about 100 or so, and the strongest. Among them should be around 20,000 years old. This Vajra White Tiger clan is the only place Dai Mubai knows where the Vajra White Tiger soul beast can be found in the Star Luo Forest. It took the 3 of them another week to arrive at this place, and the group of Vajra White Tigers was indeed similar to what Dai Mubai described. The strongest Vajra White Tiger in the group is indeed more than 20,000 years old. There are more than 100 Vajra White Tiger soul beasts in the group, with strengths ranging from 100 years to 10,000 years. If Zhao Wuji were to face the entire group at once, even he might not be able to be his opponent. However, Zhao Wuji was not stupid. He only needed to lock one that was suitable for Dai Mubai's 3rd soul ring and then capture it. According to Dai Mubai, this Vajra White Tiger group is one of the sources of the Vajra White Tigers kept in captivity by the royal family. This ethnic group here is a natural wild ethnic group, and the white tigers kept in captivity by the royal family were captured from here. It can be regarded as one of the backup resources of their royal family, and Oscar only expressed his extreme envy for this. After all, only those with sufficient strength can have the ability to control such a huge resource. Zhao Wuji didn't waste any time, and directly locked in a Vajra White Tiger that was 2,900 years old. This Vajra White Tiger could be said to perfectly fit Dai Mubai's current physical fitness. After locking the target, Zhao Wuqi took the magical power Oscar gave him, and with a flying speed comparable to that of a 10,000-year-old sharp-tailed swift, he directly captured the 2,900-year-old Vajra White Tiger. Then the 3 of them quickly came to a cave far away from the Vajra White Tiger group, and asked Dai Mubai to deal with the Vajra White Tiger, and then protect him and let him absorb the 3rd soul ring. Dai Mubai looked at the dying Vajra White Tiger, and he was filled with indescribable excitement. After all, after absorbing this soul ring, he became a genuine soul master, and from this moment on, he will completely surpass his eldest brother Davis in terms of foundation. From this moment on, the gap between him and his eldest brother Davis will become smaller and smaller, until one day Dai Mubai truly surpassed Davis, achieved a comeback from adversity, and became the true crown prince of the Star Luo Empire. even the emperor, Dai Mubai let out a tiger roar, and the white tiger spirit instantly possessed him. 10 sharp blades popped out from a pair of tiger claws, and the sharp blades penetrated the dying Vajra white tiger's head, completely killing it. Then a purple soul ring slowly condensed on the body of the Vajra white tiger. Dai Mubai sat cross-legged aside. When the soul ring was completely condensed, he activated his soul power and began to pull the soul ring to absorb it. Now that he has the physical strength to absorb this soul ring, there is no problem at all, but this is the first time that he has skipped a level to absorb the soul ring, and naturally he has to endure a lot of pain. However, although Dai Mubai is only 13 years old now, he has indeed grown a lot in more than a year, and this can be seen from the fact that he can actively choose to come back and take Zhu Zhuqing away. Therefore, even if he has to endure more pain, Dai Mubai will never give up. Instead, he will become more courageous as he fights. After all, only in this way can his strength be improved more. When facing his big brother in the future, he will be able to have the strength and confidence to defeat the opponent and become the ultimate winner. It took a full day for Dai Mubai to absorb the soul ring this time. It was not until the next day that the third purple soul ring on Dai Mubai's body was completely finalized. When the 3 soul rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple, were completely suspended on Dai Mubai's body, his whole aura increased greatly, and soul power fluctuations as high as 32 levels came, indicating that he would leapfrog the level to absorb souls this time. Huan, the soul power directly broke through one more level, reaching the 32nd level. After a long time, Dai Mubai opened his eyes, and those strange colored pupils flickered, and then they were replaced by endless excitement and excitement. Obviously, he was very satisfied with his improvement this time. After all, the first time he skipped absorbing soul rings, the improvement brought to him was indeed large enough. Dai Mubai glanced at Zhao Wuji, then at Oscar, and then said slowly, "Teacher Zhao, Brother Ao, I have improved a lot this time. My soul power has directly reached level 32. Hearing this, Zhao Wuji and Oscar nodded. They were both experienced, so there was nothing surprising about this. However, Zhao Wuji still asked. How about soul skills? Is it what you want? Dai Mubai nodded and revealed the effect of his third soul skill. My third soul skill is fine. It is indeed the White Tiger Vajra transformation. After using this soul skill, my attack, defense and strength will all be improved. Increased by 100%, and the duration will be until my soul power is exhausted. After hearing Dai Mubai's words, Oscar was quite happy. After all, although the effect of Dai Mubai's soul skill in the original work has not changed from what it is now, the usage time has changed slightly. In the original work, Dai Mubai could only use this soul skill for half an hour, but now it was until his soul power was exhausted. In the early stage, this half hour may be very long, but at high levels, with huge soul power as support, it will undoubtedly be more practical to end the soul skill only when the soul power is exhausted. Even this small change will have a huge difference in the improvement and changes in Dai Mubai's strength in the future. Oscar didn't comment too much on this, but he did congratulate Dai Mubai for obtaining the third soul ring, and his soul power had reached level 32. This additional level of soul power at least saved Dai Mubai 2 or 3 months of hard training. It can be said that he did not take whale glue in vain, but it still brought good results. But even so, he is still far behind Oscar and Ma Hongjun now. After all, Oscar and Ma Hongjun have already taken whale gum, and they have already skipped levels to absorb soul rings. In addition, the two of them still took immortal elixirs and immortal herbs. Even though Dai Mubai has improved well now, he still cannot compare with the two of them. However, Dai Mubai has the advantage of age and has now reached the soul master level. Although his strength is a bit lower, the gap in soul power is closer. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me monthly. Chapter 84 Davis. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Dai Mubai successfully absorbed the third soul ring and was promoted to Soul Lord, the three of them set off directly to Star Luo City. Now they are already in the Star Luo Empire. With their speed, it will take half a month to reach Star Luo City at the fastest, but just when the three of them were about to set off, they encountered something unusual this time. They were not too far away from the Vajra White Tiger tribe at this time. Not long after they left the cave and entered the forest, They met a group of soul masters head-on. If you just meet a group of ordinary soul masters who come to hunt for soul rings, forget it. You can just say hello and leave directly, but when Dai Mubai saw the attire of this pair of soul masters, he suddenly felt nervous as if facing a formidable enemy. When he locked eyes on a tall blonde figure in the crowd, his whole aura was filled with excitement. Becoming a little unusual, when Oscar saw the team clearly, he also made a guess. There are about 20 soul masters in this pair. The leader is a middle-aged man. Next to the middle-aged man is a handsome man who looks 56 times similar to Dai Mubai. The man is about 2 meters tall and has blonde hair. With the clothes scattered on the back, it feels like a dragon walking like a tiger walking. The whole person is majestic and confident. When Oscar and the others noticed this group of people, the other party also noticed the three of them. When the middle-aged and young men at the head saw Dai Mubai, they were slightly startled, and then showed a look of disbelief. Emotional smile, the middle-aged man and the young man said a few words to the pair of people behind them, and they waited there, while the middle-aged man and the young man walked directly towards Oscar and the others. While walking, the loud voice of the blonde young man came, "Mubai, I didn't expect to meet you here. I thought you would never come back after running away from home, but I didn't expect." Before the other party finished speaking, Dai Mubai snorted coldly, "Davis, stop being so pretentious. We have nothing to say between us." Hearing this, the young man named Davis didn't take it seriously, but his smile remained. "Won't you introduce these two to us?" Dai Mubai heard this and had no intention of paying attention to Davis. He just said to Zhao Wuji and Oscar, "Teacher Zhao, Brother Ao, let's go and explain to you later." At this time, Davis and the middle-aged man had already come closer. After hearing Dai Mubai's words, Davis's expression was slightly sarcastic. "What? We just met, and you are thinking are you running away? In fact, in the more than a year since you left, my father still misses you very much." With that said, Davis came to Dai Mubai, leaned into his ear and whispered, "Oh, by the way, there is also your little fiancé. He seems to miss you too." Hearing this, Dai Mubai grabbed Davis's collar directly. "What did you say? What did you do to her?" Today's Dai Mubai is indeed different from the playboy in the original work. There is no other romance in his heart. Apart from cultivation, the only thing he cares about is his fiancée Zhu Zhuqing, who is alone in Luo City. Davis's words undoubtedly touched Dai Mubai's reverse scale, but Davis just patted Dai Mubai's hand gently, then forcibly opened it, and said lightly, "My good brother, what are you doing? Why didn't I see that you were so interested in Zhuqing when you left alone? What are you pretending to do now?" Davis's words completely returned what Dai Mubai had said about him being hypocritical, and they also directly touched Dai Mubai's pain point. After all, what happened in the first place was indeed his own lack of consideration. "Davis, I'm warning you, if you dare to touch Zhuqing, I will let you." Dai Mubai stared at Davis with his eyes of different colors and said coldly. However, Davis didn't seem to care about his brother's threat. Before Dai Mubai finished speaking, Davis asked, "Otherwise, what? Do you want to do anything to your brother?" Hearing this, Dai Mubai snorted coldly, "Only you? Are you worthy of being my brother? Haven't you suppressed me enough over the years?" At this moment, Oscar, who had been watching with cold eyes, spoke. "Mubai, why don't you introduce it to us?" The so-called authorities are confused, but bystanders know clearly. From Oscar's point of view, Davis today is indeed much more mature than Dai Mubai. Dai Mubai has always been led by him, both in terms of speech and emotions, and this was just a few words away. One can imagine how helpless and defeated Dai Mubai was when facing Davis. Even though Dai Mubai has indeed grown up a lot in more than a year, compared to Davis, who is 7 years older than him, Dai Mubai is still too young. However, although Dai Mubai is not as good as Davis now, it does not mean that he will not be able to compare in the future, and since Oscar is here, he will naturally not allow Dai Mubai to be bullied like this. After all, Dai Mubai now calls him Brother Ao. Now that I have become an older brother, I must shoulder this responsibility. When Dai Mubai heard Oscar's voice, the anger in his heart was suppressed. He glanced at Oscar with a spring breeze smile, and then said slowly, brother Ao, this is the Davis I told you about." Upon hearing this, Oscar nodded slightly to Davis and said with a smile, "Hello, Oscar, Mubai's current eldest brother." Hearing this, Davis frowned, and then became even more disdainful of Dai Mubai. He did not answer Oscar, but mocked Dai Mubai. "Ha ha ha, Mubai, you don't even recognize your real eldest brother, and you go out to recognize a wild eldest brother. I don't care, you are not afraid that father will know. Will you get angry afterwards?" Hearing this, Dai Mubai was actually not that angry, because although his belief in Oscar was not as strong as Ma Hongjuan's, he had already completely recognized Oscar in his heart, so when faced with the ridicule of Davis's words, he was not angry. He was even laughing at Davis in his heart. The scene where Oscar stood up just now was enough for him to call him Ao Gu. After all, to outsiders, this is his family matter. Moreover, Dai Mubai also confessed his life experience to Oscar, and now Oscar directly supports him, which means that in the battle for heir apparent, Oscar chose him. In the future, Oscar may even be involved in this matter, causing a lot of unnecessary incidents and troubles. Before that, Dai Mubai naturally hoped that there would be people around him to support him, but when he really recognized Oscar and Ma Hongjun, he didn't want to drag them into this fight. After all, this is only a matter between him and Zhu Zhuqing, not Oscar and Ma Hongjun, so Dai Mubai was extremely moved when Oscar was able to stand up just now, and Oscar didn't let Dai Mubai face Davis now. Hearing Davis's words, Oscar's smile remained. "Yes, a real eldest brother is not as good as me, a eldest brother I met halfway. You should also be a failure as a eldest brother." "Yes." Hearing this, Davis looked at Oscar coldly. "Boy, when we brothers are talking to each other, when will it be your turn as an outsider to interrupt?" Oscar's cold eyes when facing Davis did not waver at all. "What? Are you talking about your pain point? Or do you want to suppress me with your so-called prince status?" As he spoke, a smile appeared on Oscar's face. "Oh, by the way, we also have a prince, but Mubai calls me eldest brother. Since you and Mubai are both princes, why don't you also call me eldest brother? I promise to treat everyone equally." Hearing this, Davis, no matter how good-tempered he was, couldn't help but feel angry. Just when Davis was about to get angry, the middle-aged man next to him raised his hand to stop Davis and faced him. Davis whispered, "First Prince, business matters are important." Then the middle-aged man glanced at Oscar, and a terrifying pressure burst out. Soul power pressure that reached the Soul Saint level suddenly pressed on Oscar. "How dare you talk to the eldest prince like this, a sharp-tongued boy?" But before Oscar could react, Zhao Wuji, who was behind him, snorted coldly, "You're still a Soul Saint, so you actually have the nerve to bully a child." As Zhao Wuji's voice came, even more terrifying soul power pressure was suddenly released, directly pushing back the soul power pressure of the middle-aged man next to Davis, and it became even more powerful. The main reason why Davis came to the Star Forest this time was because of the mission given to him by Emperor Xingluo, which asked him to use his own strength to bring back 3 white diamond tigers that were at least 4,000 years old to replenish the reserves of the Royal Soul Hunting Forest. Now 20 years old, he has just broken through level 40, obtained a soul ring and became a soul sect. Although this task is not simple, for him, it is a challenging task that can gain the Emperor's appreciation. After all, the fight between him and Dai Mubai is only in the audience and has not been put on the real stage. Moreover, Dai Mubai is too young now, and the Emperor will not allow him to kill him, otherwise there will be no doesn't make any sense anymore. Otherwise, in the original work, Emperor Xingluo would not have funded Shrek Academy in the winter. Oscar said he didn't care about this. "Since you want to bully my people, then naturally I can't let you bully me in vain." At this time, Zhao Wuji and the middle-aged man next to Davis were wrestling with each other, but the opponent's momentum soon weakened because his strength was slightly inferior to Zhao Wuji's. From the moment the opponent released the pressure of his martial soul, Oscar knew that the opponent's soul power was around level 75, and Zhao Wuji was now at level 78, no matter in terms of hard power or other aspects. The other party is definitely not Zhao Wuji's opponent. After all, old Zhao is not a good person. He once had only 6 soul rings, and he was able to win from the ranks of 16 soul emperors by himself. The one who escaped unscathed from the siege, the title of Feudal Myoyo in the Soul Master realm is not just something that is given to me casually. Zhao Wuji snorted coldly, and the terrifying pressure of his soul power was released, causing the middle-aged man next to Davis to grunt and take 2 steps back to stabilize his body. The other party stared at Zhao Wuji with a livid face. Zhao Wuji had an indifferent expression on his face. What about the royal family? Mubai is also a prince. If you want to bully the younger ones, ask me, old Zhao, first. Hearing this, Dai Mubai's heart felt even warmer. He had only been in school for more than a year, and he felt a warmth in this academy that he had never felt in the cold imperial family. Facing Zhao Wuji's strength, Davis was no fool. Even uncle whose level 75 strength was no match for him. Obviously, the middle-aged man behind Dai Mubai was not a good person either. Davis looked uncertain. Although he was the eldest prince of the Star Luo Empire, his status was extremely respected, but facing a soul saint, his status seemed a bit ordinary. What's more, except for uncle who next to him, the other people he brought were only at the Soul King level. If they really wanted to fight, they might not be Zhao Wuji's opponents. After all, the opponent was able to force uncle who back with just the pressure of his soul power, which was enough to prove that his strength was far superior to uncle whose. Oscar turned his head and gave Zhao Wuji a thumbs up. Old Zhao is domineering. Then Oscar looked at Davis. Mubai is no longer a person now. I don't have to worry about the past, but if you want to cause trouble for him in the future, you should ask our Shrek Academy first. Hearing this, Davis stared coldly at Oscar and Zhao Wuqi, and then snorted, "Ha! Uncle Tiger, let's go." Davis was not stupid. They were at a disadvantage now, and his father had also warned him that Dai Mubai should not be a killer until he was 20 years old, so at this moment he had no choice but to let Dai Mubai go. Otherwise, he will definitely take Dai Mubai back this time and watch him right under his nose. Oscar did not stop Davis. After Davis and the others left, Oscar and Dai Mubai also left with Zhao Wuji. Dai Mubai said, "Brother Ao, Teacher Zhao, thank you just now." Hearing this, Zhao Wuji and Oscar smiled slightly. "You are now a member of our Shrek Academy, how can we let you be bullied?" Oscar asked, "By the way, what are Davis and the others doing in this Star Luo forest? Did he break through to get the soul ring?" Hearing this, Dai Mubai also thought about it, and then said, "It should be possible. When I left, his soul power was already close to that of the soul sect. Now it is reasonable to break through level 40. Hearing this, Zhao Wuji frowned. "In this case, his soul power is at least 10 levels higher than yours, so in the battle between you and him, you are completely at a disadvantage." Dai Mubai smiled bitterly. "After all, he is 7 years older than me, but now I have the confidence to catch up with him. After all, the gap between him and me was bigger than it is now." After hearing Dai Mubai's words, Oscar said, "Yes, since you have confidence, then naturally we will fully support you." Oscar said, then smiled, "If you can defeat your eldest brother in the future, become the crown prince of the Star Luo Empire, and inherit the throne in the future, wouldn't our Shrek Academy also benefit from it?" Hearing this, Dai Mubai's smile became even bitterer. "Brother Ao, please stop teasing me. Now that I cannot be squeezed by Davis, I am already doing well. Although I have the confidence to surpass him in the future, I will continue to. It's too early for the big position. But if that day comes, Brother Ao, you and Hongjun and all our Shrek teachers, Dai Mubai, will never let you down." Hearing this, Oscar and Zhao Wuji laughed. No matter what the future holds, with Dai Mubai's words today, this kid will definitely have a future. After all, even if he didn't work hard himself, Zhao Wuji and Oscar would definitely work hard to train Dai Mubai in order to have a brother or student who could become emperor in the future. It's just that Oscar and the others all guessed wrong before, but they still guessed right. Davis was not here to obtain the soul ring, but had another mission. However, he has indeed broken through the soul sect, and his soul power level is about 10 levels higher than Dai Mubai's, but as Dai Mubai himself said, he will definitely surpass Davis in the future. Being low now does not mean it will be low in the future. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me monthly. Chapter 85 Star Luo City, Oscar Dai Mubai takes action. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Davis's talent is indeed good. In the Soul Master competition 4 years later in the original work, at the age of 24, his soul power reached level 49, and he was only one step away from the Soul King, but at that time, both Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing had already used immortal herbs, and their strength and talents were increasing day by day. In addition, they had Tang San as a bad guy to lead the team, so they also defeated Davis in that battle, but no matter what, Davis's talent is indeed good. Although he may not be considered a first-tier player, he is definitely a guaranteed second-tier player, but in the eyes of today's Oscar, these are nothing, because now he is definitely above Davis in terms of strength and talent. Ignoring Davis's taunts, Oscar and Dai Mubai followed Zhao Wuji and quickly left the Star Forest and headed for Star Luo City. Now that Davis appears here, it proves that Davis's fiancée Zhu Zhuqing should be the only one left in Xingluo City. If this is the case, then it may be easier for Dai Mubai to take Zhu Zhuqing away. Of course, they had to take advantage of the time when Davis had left Xingluo City to act quickly. Otherwise, if Dai Mubai was discovered by Davis in Xingluo City, he would not let them off so easily at that time. After all, Xingluo City is Davis's home court. As the eldest prince, the people he can mobilize may not be as simple as just a soul saint, as he has more support on the surface. However, it is worth mentioning that when Zhao Wuji took Oscar and Dai Mubai out of the Star Forest and came to the nearest town, they found 2 luxurious carriages while they were resting. Although they were not specifically marked, but Dai Mubai recognized from the details that it belonged to his elder brother Davis. The 2 carriages were only guarded by 2 soul lords and stopped at the entrance of the town. When Oscar heard Dai Mubai say that the 2 carriages belonged to Davis, he took advantage of the quiet night to secretly disassemble some important but seemingly inconspicuous parts from the 2 carriages, and they were still inside. A few thumbtacks were secretly inserted into the seat cushion. Although these small actions can't have any major impact on Davis, it is enough to disgust him and delay his return time, which is enough to settle the score. After Dai Mubai knew that Oscar had done this, in addition to being grateful to Oscar, Dai Mubai felt more comfortable. After all, Dai Mubai was happy to be able to disgust Davis no matter what. After all, Davis was really disgusted with him before. He would mock him and tease him every 3 days. In short, before leaving the palace and coming to Shrek Academy, Dai Mubai would basically be suppressed by Davis every week or half a month, making his life very depressed. After finishing this matter, the 3 of them headed to Xingluo City under the leadership of Zhao Wuji. Because of their full efforts, the original 15-day journey was shortened by 1/3, and it only took 10 days to arrive. To Xingluo City, England has become the main city of one of the only empires on the Douluo Continent, and its majesty are definitely among the best on the entire continent. The city walls of Xingluo City are completely built according to the standards of the capital city. The 80-meter-high city wall looks extremely majestic from the outside, and the thickness of the city wall is more than 30 meters. It is completely repaired from granite. It is not easy to build such a majestic and huge city. Just the size of the city wall requires countless money and manpower to be built. When Dai Mubai once again saw the city where he had lived for more than 10 years, he couldn't help but sigh in his heart, but his only thought now was to take Zhu Zhuqing away as soon as possible. Of course, he will definitely come back in the future, and he will come back in an upright and glorious manner. When Oscar saw this city, he couldn't help but sigh. Although there are hundreds of millions of humans on Douluo Continent, the number of soul masters is only about 100,000. But being able to build such a magnificent and spectacular architectural facility is enough to prove that this world also has its own laws of operation. Moreover, the soldiers on the city wall and at the city gate looked unusual. They seemed not to be comparable to those of the Tiando Empire. Even the soldiers guarding the city gate are not only neat in appearance, but also highly disciplined. They are not arrogant at all. They treat ordinary people who come in and out of the city gate with courtesy and strictly enforce their own rules. Task, this is so rare. Although these soldiers are also ordinary people, according to Dai Mubai, they are able to stand here because they have been carefully selected, and they also have a quite extraordinary status in the empire. Now being able to be strict with oneself when facing the most ordinary civilians is entirely the result of daily training. This also shows that it has a military capacity and record that exceeds that of the Dou Empire. It is no wonder that the Xingluo Empire's military force far exceeds that of the Tiando Empire. Although Dai Mubai is a prince, he has basically never been out in the palace for more than 10 years, so unless he is familiar with him, most people will not know his identity at all. As for blonde hair and heterochromatic eyes, there is no need to worry. Although Dai Mubai's appearance is indeed a bit special, there are too many people in the entire Douluo Continent. As long as Dai Mubai himself does not say that he is Dai Mubai, then it is basically impossible for the guards to recognize him. So the three of them entered Xingluo City easily, and then Zhao Wuji and Oscar made a plan for Dai Mubai on how to rescue Zhu Zhuqing based on some of the details Dai Mubai had told them before. Although Zhu Zhuqing is usually suppressed, like Dai Mubai, he is relatively free and will not be placed under house arrest, so you only need to figure out Zhu Zhuqing's daily route of action, and you can find opportunities to get close to him, and then take her away. However, Zhu Zhuqing was Dai Mubai's fiancée after all. Although the two had not met many times before and were not familiar with each other, Dai Mubai also roughly knew some places where Zhu Zhuqing might appear. It took 3 days for Dai Mubai to finally find a chance to contact Zhu Zhuqing, but he was accompanied by a soul sect level guard. After Dai Mubai confirmed Zhu Zhuqing's whereabouts, he appeared and guided Zhu Zhuqing and the soul sect guard to a less crowded alley. And Oscar had been waiting there for a long time. When Dai Mubai lured Zhu Zhuqing and the soul sect guard around her, Oscar directly stopped the soul sect guard, and Dai Mubai also took Zhu Zhuqing to take the divine walk. He left the alley like a storm. At this time, of course the soul sect guard realized the problem. For soul rings, 2 yellow and 2 purple, rose up on his body, and the nether spirit cat's martial soul instantly protected him. Boy, what do you want to do by taking the young lady away? Let me tell you, our third young lady is the fiancée of the third prince of the empire. If you dare to touch the people of our duke's palace, you will definitely not end well. The guard snorted coldly. He said to Oscar. Oscar knew that the other party did not recognize Dai Mubai, so he immediately thought of it. Of course I know, but I am the eldest prince's man. With our eldest prince's current relationship with your majesty, I don't think a third prince has escaped. Is there still a chance? As he spoke, Oscar chuckled. Miss Zhu San can't go back anyway, so why don't you come to us directly? How about being the eldest prince's spy? The eldest prince promises not to treat you badly. Hearing this, the guard frowned. Do you know the consequences of hurting the third lady? Obviously, the other party did not intend to compromise, otherwise he would not threaten. However, Oscar didn't take it seriously and asked, why do you think the eldest prince dares to take action now? That when the guard saw that it didn't make sense, the light of soul power suddenly surged on his body, and his whole body instantly turned into a black shadow and attacked Oscar. Obviously, he didn't take Oscar seriously. After all, Oscar looked too young. A person of Oscar's age was only around level 30 in the eyes of the guards. Now that it doesn't make sense, he naturally plans to take advantage of Oscar first, and then torture him to extract a confession from Oscar to reveal the whereabouts of the third lady, and the soul skill he just used is his 4th soul skill Nether Flash. His 4th soul ring comes from a nether leopard with the ability to teleport. After using the 4th soul skill, he can move within 5 meters distance to achieve teleportation. Although this soul skill consumes a huge amount of soul power, please remember that the strength of his agility attack soul sect is more than enough for him to sneak attack a young man. However, Oscar had already been prepared. When the guard's soul power fluctuated on his body, Oscar had already condensed a sky blue jade sword and held it in his left hand. 3 soul rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple, flashed away. Holding the sausage in his right hand and hiding it. As soon as the jade sword came out, Oscar was already lying on his chest. The next moment, the guard who turned into a black shadow had arrived in front of Oscar. The century-level 1st soul ring skill was released, and the 2 claws that had turned into sharp claws suddenly swung out. Fell towards Oscar. The guard obviously didn't expect that Oscar's reaction would be so quick. He had released his martial soul almost the moment he used his soul skill. What he didn't expect even more was that this young man was just a 3-ring soul master, and he actually connected with his soul. He took over the 1st soul skill he used while teleporting without even using it, and what surprised the guard was that after his pair of sharp claws attacked the opponent's jade sword, he felt a stinging pain, but the opponent did not even retreat at all. This made the guard very confused. He already knew that the other party was a genius, but it wasn't okay at all, right? Before the guard could think any more, the jade sword in Oscar's hand had already moved, and he took the initiative to attack with sword moves. The guard did not have weapons to attack and could only fight back with a pair of sharp claws. However, every time his sharp claws collided with the jade sword, he would feel a stinging pain, which made him very aggrieved. You must know that he is a soul master with a soul power as high as level 45, and the young man he faced is just a soul master, with a soul power level of about 37 or 8, logically speaking, facing an opponent of this level, using a fourth soul skill and a first soul skill would be enough to defeat him, but now he is actually passive. It's just that the guards didn't know that Oscar's physical fitness has now approached the level of the Soul Emperor, and the jade sword in his hand is not a martial spirit, but an external soul bone that has evolved once and is comparable to a 10,000-year-old soul bone. Moreover, after Oscar uses the external soul bone, his attack and strength will increase by 50%, which is completely equivalent to using a soul skill. With such terrifying physical fitness coupled with the powerful and passive amplification of the attached soul bone, Oscar is more than enough to face a level 45 soul sect. What's more, Oscar also incorporated his own sword power into his sword moves. Every time he drew his sword, there was a terrifying sword power, which made the guard extremely frustrated. Soon Oscar gained the upper hand, and the jade sword flew in his hand, suddenly bursting out with endless sword power like a rainbow. The third form of Frost Moon sword technique, Frost Moon Manhua, that the guard suddenly felt a crisis. The soul power on his body flashed, and his claws suddenly cut out a terrifying black slash. The third soul skill, Netherworld Slash, that the third soul skill, which reached level 45, burst out with all its strength, blocked Oscar's sword force. However, Oscar saw that Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing had disappeared, and he did not intend to spend any more time with the guards. Oscar smiled evilly. Brother, although you have done your duty, but since you are unwilling to follow our eldest prince, then, you are offended. After Oscar finished speaking, a touch of ice blue suddenly appeared in the jade sword in his hand, and then the entire jade sword turned into ice blue. He slashed out with the sword, and the terrifying ice sword energy locked the guard with the terrifying sword force, and a streak of ice blue sword energy suddenly flew out. The fifth form of double Frost Moon sword technique, 3 feet of ice, that the guard had just activated the third soul skill with all his strength, and his soul power was in a vacuum period. He was unable to use the fourth soul skill to dodge instantly, so he had to bite the bullet and resist Oscar's attack. But how did he know that even with his 45 level soul power, he was still no match for Oscar? Although the attack power of the ice sword energy was slightly weaker than the previous attack, its ice power was countless times stronger. As soon as the guard resisted Oscar's sword energy attack, his claws were frozen directly. And the freezing was still spreading from the arms toward the body. The guard was shocked at that time, and just when he was about to continue to resist, an ice blue jade sword was already placed across his neck. The guard felt the pain and coldness in his heart, and he no longer dared to be superfluous. Actions, he could only let the ice spread all over his body. In less than 5 seconds, the guard turned into a human-shaped ice sculpture. However, Oscar had no murderous intentions. The jade sword suddenly turned into red, leaving a breath on the ice sculpture's nose and mouth. Of tiny holes, although Oscar did not kill him, it would take a certain amount of time for the guards to break free, and although he would not be directly frozen to death, he was controlled by Oscar's ice sword energy. Even if his soul power was 4 at level 15, it will take some time to recover. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me monthly. Chapter 86 Take away Zhu Zhuqing in chat. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Oscar directly carried the guard up, went to a prepared cellar, put him into it, and then sealed him up before leaving. The strength of the cellar is not enough to trap a level 45 soul sect forever, but it is enough to delay him for a while. After leaving, Oscar went directly to the outside of the city to meet with Zhao Wuji and the others. At this time, Zhao Wuji, Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing had all changed into casual clothes. After seeing Oscar, the 4 of them headed towards the Tiando Empire at full speed. Go in the direction, they did not take a carriage, because that would slow down the speed. After taking Oscar's magical power, the four of them quickly left Star Luo City and took Zhu Zhuqing away before anyone could react. Of course, this is also because Zhu Zhuqing is willing. Otherwise, it would be difficult to take her away in this imperial city. Even with Zhao Wuji, a 78th level soul saint, on the way, Oscar took a look at Zhu Zhuqing. Let's not talk about anything else. Zhu Zhuqing, who is not yet 11 years old, is indeed in great shape. If Oscar had not met Duguian, he might have been unable to help but attack Zhu Zhuqing, the childlike giant, and so on. No matter in that era, he was an absolute top killer. To be honest, Oscar was a little envious of Dai Mubai, but as the saying goes, a friend's wife should not be bullied. Oscar just admired him and had no wrong thoughts towards Zhu Zhuqing, and it has to be said that although Zhu Zhuqing's talent is not as good as Dai Mubai's, even in the original work, he is the worst among the Shrek 7 monsters, but Zhu Zhuqing has one advantage, that is, she is willing to endure hardships and stand hard work, and her mind is firm enough. Although she is a girl, she works harder than most people. Now only 10 years and 5 months old, her soul power has reached level 22. In the original work, more than a year later, when Zhu Zhuqing went to Shrek Academy to enroll, her soul power also reached level 27, and she was only 12 years old at that time, so from this point of view, Zhu Zhuqing is actually quite good. Coupled with her and Dai Mubai's martial soul fusion skills, the strength that the two of them can exert is that 1 + 1 is far greater than 2. The four of them drove at full speed for a day and a night, and after they were completely away from Xingluo City, their speed gradually slowed down. And only now did Dai Mubai seriously introduce Zhu Zhuqing to Zhao Wuji and Oscar, because they were walking on a small path. The four of them basically passed through mountains and forests, even soul beast forests. At night, the four of them camped by a creek. Oscar was busy eating, while Dai Mubai was chatting with Zhu Zhuqing and Zhao Wuji. For Zhu Zhuqing, what happened in the past 2 days was still unbelievable. Although she was happy in her heart, in her opinion, it made her feel somewhat elated. Originally, she thought Dai Mubai had abandoned her. After all, Dai Mubai didn't tell her any news when he left a year ago, but now Dai Mubai actually came back to save her, which made Zhu Zhuqing's worry and fear disappear for more than a year. Moreover, when Dai Mubai took her away a day ago, he also explained it to her and apologized to Zhu Zhuqing for his previous behavior of running away alone. This made Zhu Zhuqing, a little girl who was less than 11 years old, suddenly feel guilty again. Choose to believe him, and Dai Mubai will no longer betray Zhu Zhuqing's trust. After all, he also understands that there are some things that can be done and some things that cannot be done. As the saying goes, a prodigal son can never be replaced by gold. Now that Dai Mubai can understand these things, it is a good thing for both him and Zhu Zhuqing, and now Zhu Zhuqing is a little more dependent on Dai Mubai because Dai Mubai took the initiative to rescue her. Although Zhu Zhuqing is a bit cold like the original, it seems that she can let down her guard in front of Dai Mubai. Oscar was handling the freshly caught fish from the stream, while Zhu Zhuqing was chatting with Dai Mubai and Zhao Wuji. Dai Mubai said to Zhu Zhuqing, "Zhuqing, Teacher Zhao is the deputy dean of our Shrek Academy. His soul power level is as high as level 78. It is also because I have him leading the team that we can be so successful." Although Zhu Zhuqing had already met Zhao Wuji, he had not introduced him formally. Now that he had stopped and had time to chat, Zhu Zhuqing also took the initiative to chat with Zhao Wuji. "Hello, Teacher Zhao, thank you for coming to save me with Mubai. Zhuqing is very grateful." Zhu Zhuqing replied very sincerely. Hearing this, Zhao Wuji chuckled, "Girl, you're welcome, you are Mubai's fiancée, and Mubai is my student, so I should save you." Zhao Wuji paused as he spoke, looking at Oscar who was handling the fish in the stream, and then continued, "If you want to thank me, let's thank Xiao Ao. Without him, we wouldn't have been able to leave Xingluo City so easily." Hearing this, Zhu Zhuqing remembered the magical sausage she had taken before. She now knew that it was Oscar's third soul skill, and it was precisely because of Oscar's third soul skill that he was so powerful, allowing them to fly at the speed of a 10,000-year-old sharp-tailed swift for 15 minutes. Oscar's third soul skill can be stored for a full month, and Oscar will usually store some soul skills for backup when nothing happens. The third soul skill, Oscar, had stored up to 100 pieces. After leaving Star Luo City, Oscar and the four of them basically took 20 pieces of swift intestine each, which lasted for 300 minutes and 5 hours of terrifying flight. The speed allowed them to stay away from Star Luo City, therefore, Zhu Zhuqing is also very grateful to Oscar, and Dai Mubai respects Oscar as much as he treats Xiao Wuji, the deputy dean, which is enough to prove that Oscar is extraordinary. After all, as a prince, Dai Mubai was somewhat arrogant and found it difficult to bow to ordinary people. Moreover, on the way to escape, Zhu Zhuqing occasionally communicated with Dai Mubai. From the communication, she was even more surprised that Dai Mubai actually called Oscar Oge and had almost no refutation of Oscar's decision. It's like setting up camp here now because Oscar wants to be here. Otherwise, with Dai Mubai's current caution, he would definitely run as far away as possible. Now Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing are eager to leave the realm of the Star Luo Empire and enter the Tiando Empire as soon as possible, so that they can feel safe. Oscar heard Xiao Wuji and the others discussing him, and looked up. His handsome face reflected the orange firelight, and a warm smile appeared on Oscar's face. Mubai, teacher Zhao, stop talking about me and come here to eat fish. Oscar's warm voice sounded. Zhu Zhuqing glanced at the handsome Oscar, smelled the mouth-watering aroma of grilled fish, and couldn't help but swallow his saliva. They always ate Oscar's sausages and dry food when they were on the road. Although Oscar's sausages tasted good, they couldn't last a whole day and night. Now smelling the grilled fish with such an attractive aroma, even Xiao Wuji couldn't help but came to Oscar's side, took a grilled fish from his hand, and then started to feast on it. Dai Mubai was not polite and pulled Zhu Zhuqing to Oscar's side. Oscar handed Dai Mubai a fish, and then handed one to Zhu Zhuqing. Zhu Zhuqing took the grilled fish with some embarrassment, said thank you to Oscar, and then ate it in small bites. Oscar smiled slightly. You are Mubai's fiancé, so you are my younger brother and sister. As an older brother, I should take care of my younger brother and sister. Hearing this, Zhu Zhuqing couldn't help but blush. Although she had indeed developed a great affection for Dai Mubai since yesterday. Although she didn't necessarily like him, both Xiao Wuji and Oscar directly talked about it. Even though she was Dai Mubai's fiancée, she still felt a little embarrassed. Looking at the blushing Zhu Zhuqing, Oscar himself took a fish and started eating it. Then he thought of what it was like when he and De Guyen first came into contact. It seems, same as Zhu Zhuqing and Dai Mubai now. It's just that Oscar and De Guyen are not engaged, their feelings are accumulated bit by bit, but now that Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing are engaged, getting along with each other should be easier than when he was with De Guyen. Moreover, between Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing, what Oscar envied most was their martial soul fusion skill, because whether it greatly improved their strength or increased their training speed, Oscar did not have it. Because he and De Guyen didn't have martial soul fusion skills, they didn't have the chance to experience the martial soul fusion skills. Of course, Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing cannot use martial soul fusion skills now, because they basically had no cooperation before. Therefore, although they have sufficient fusion between them, it will take a certain amount of time to get used to the spirit fusion skills. Moreover, this requires mutual trust between the two people and a certain understanding of each other before they can practice martial soul fusion skills together. However, the power of martial soul fusion skills also depends on the trust the two have in each other. The higher the trust, the more powerful they can be. Zhu Zhuqing responded shyly, Senior, please stop teasing me. Although Mubai and I are engaged, we haven't dated each other yet, so it doesn't count. Dai Mubai's expression changed when he heard this, and the guilt in his heart surged into his heart again. Zhu Zhuqing was quite proud in her heart, because she said this deliberately to warn Dai Mubai that if Dai Mubai dared to abandon her next time, she would never forgive him again. Of course, judging from Dai Mubai's current changes, there is a high probability that Dai Mubai will become Zhu Zhuqing's little bitch. Although it is the same in the original work, the current Dai Mubai is not as fancy as in the original work. Dai Mubai is still an innocent little virgin now, and Zhu Zhuqing does not feel disgusted with him, so the relationship between the two should be more passionate than in the original work. Hearing this, Oscar and Xiao Wuji both smiled. Then Oscar glanced at Dai Mubai and said seriously, it is true that a fiancé who has not married is just a fiancé, but Zhu Qingqian is transparent. Remember, don't give in so easily. This kid Mubai has succeeded, otherwise he won't know how to cherish it, so it's best to keep hanging on to him. Hearing Oscar, Zhu Zhuqing nodded with a strange expression, and then glanced at Dai Mubai, who was looking a little hopeless at the side. When Dai Mubai heard Oscar's words, everyone was stunned, and he shouted directly in his heart, "My brother Ao, what are you talking about? What do you mean you don't know how to cherish it after you get it? I, Dai Mubai, am like this. Are you human? Besides, you and your sister-in-law are so tired all day long, why are you hanging up when you come to my place?" However, Dai Mubai did not dare to express his inner thoughts directly. Firstly, he was afraid that Oscar would beat him, and secondly, he was afraid that Zhu Zhuqing would misunderstand him. Although Dai Mubai is now unable to resist Zhu Zhuqing's domineering figure and appearance, he also knows his priorities. At this stage, he no longer has the mind to think about those things, because he learned from Zhu Zhuqing that Davis had broken through the soul sect. Although he was already at level 32, there was still a big gap between him and Davis. What's more, what about Zhu Zhuyun? She is Zhu Zhuqing's eldest sister and Davis's fiancée. Zhu Zhuyun is now at level 39, only one step away from level 40, while Zhu Zhuqing is only at level 22. The overall strength gap between them is too big, so all Dai Mubai's thoughts now are on how to surpass his elder brother Davis and strive to become the winner in this battle for the heir apparent. Only in this way can he save his own life, give Zhu Zhuqing the life he wants, and be able to repay Shrek's teachers and Ao Gu for their kindness. When Zhu Zhuqing learned that Dai Mubai was already at level 32, he was in a state of disbelief. After all, Dai Mubai was only at level 25 when he left. It had only been more than a year. Mubai's soul power increased by 7 levels. Even if the level of soul power that absorbs the soul ring is removed, Dai Mubai has fully increased his soul power by 6 levels. Grade 6 in 1 year, what kind of talent is this? Not even the entire Star Luo Empire or even the Douluo Continent can find such a genius, right? But Zhu Zhuqing didn't know that Dai Mubai's soul power from level 29 to level 32 was all improved by whale glue. Taking whale glue not only allowed Dai Mubai's soul power to break through the first level, but also enhanced his physical fitness. He could absorb soul rings beyond the level and directly reach the 32nd level of soul power. As for the 3rd level soul power, Dai Mubai was already at the peak of level 25 when he entered Shrek, and it only took him a month to break through to level 26. Therefore, Dai Mubai's truly meaningful improvement in this year's time was reaching level 26, which is about 3 levels a year, and the 3rd level of the Great Soul Master in 1 year is enough to be called a genius. When Dai Mubai told Zhu Zhuqing what he had gained over the past year, Zhu Zhuqing felt a little dizzy. It seemed that even in the royal family or the Duke's palace, they were not treated like this, and there is actually one in Shrek Academy. For a moment, Zhu Zhuqing was looking forward to what such a powerful Shrek Academy would be like, and Zhu Zhuqing couldn't wait to enroll. Of course, Dai Mubai did not directly tell the story about the whale glue, but used an excuse, saying that he had taken the elixir given by Senior Poison DouluoDalu to achieve such an improvement. In this regard, both Zhao Wuji and Oscar were very satisfied, because Dai Mubai abided by his previous agreement, and he did not tell the secret of whale gum even to his fiancée, but Oscar didn't know whether Dai Mubai would tell Zhu Zhuqing in private. But there is a high probability that it won't happen. After all, Dai Mubai is not stupid. He still knows what can and cannot be done. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me monthly. Chapter 87 Emperor Xingluo's Attitude. Flanders was successfully promoted. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xingluo City, the royal palace. After Emperor Xingluo heard what Duke Netherworld said, his eyes flickered, and there was no unnecessary emotion on his majestic face. I already know about this matter. You don't have to interfere in the rest of the matter. The younger generation has their own way to go. Didn't we do the same back then? Emperor Xingluo's voice sounded faintly. Duke Netherworld nodded. I understand, everything is in accordance with His Majesty's wishes. Then the Emperor waved his hand, and after watching the Duke of Netherworld retreat unhurriedly, the emperor waved to the darkness. A middle-aged man in black tights walked out of the darkness and knelt before the emperor. His Majesty. The emperor glanced at the direction of Dai Mubai's Xinjin palace, and then said calmly, "Go to Shrek Academy again. Although Mubai has gone out, he is still a descendant of my royal family. Don't let the royal family lose face." "I understand." The middle-aged man agreed, and then disappeared into the darkness again. Unknown forest, beside a stream. Although Oscar's cooking skills are not as good as teacher Xiao Xian's, the grilled fish is also full of color, flavor. Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing's mouths are full of oil. While eating grilled fish, Oscar said to Zhu Zhuqing, "It may be a bit hasty for you to leave Star Luo City suddenly this time, but this is the imperial city after all, and you should follow the emergency. If you need anything in the future, you can just talk to me. Carry." Zhu Zhuqing nodded when he heard this. "Thank you, senior. I am very satisfied to be able to escape from that place." Obviously, Zhu Zhuqing has already had the idea of leaving the imperial city. Now that Dai Nuan can come back and take her away, it is undoubtedly the biggest surprise for her. Dai Mubai gently patted Zhu Zhuqing's little hand. "Zhuqing, from now on, I will never let you be alone again. No matter what difficulties you may encounter in the future, I will stand in front of you without hesitation." Hearing Dai Mubai suddenly speak, with a touch of true emotion on his handsome face, Zhu Zhuqing was also very moved in his heart. Zhu Zhuqing held Dai Mubai's big hand with his backhand. "Well, no matter what dangers we will encounter in the future, I will face it with you." Looking at the two people who suddenly became affectionate, Oscar's expression changed slightly. "Ahem, you are a couple, but there are still two outsiders here. If you want to be affectionate, wait until no one is around." Hearing this, Zhao Wuji smiled and said it didn't matter. After all, he was about 50 years old. Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing quickly let go of each other's hands. Their faces instantly turned red, and they each nibbled on the grilled fish in their hands. Oscar smiled when he saw this scene. The young man was still too thin-skinned. If it were him and De Guyen, if someone dared to say that, they would have to kiss each other in front of them. Emperor Xingluo had already spoken, so no one came to chase Zhao Wuji and the others. Half a month later, Zhao Wuji took Oscar and the three of them back to Shrek Academy smoothly. Before that, 5 days ago, Shrek Academy had already been visited, but at that time Flanders, Zhao Wuji, Gai Yu, and the others were not there. It was Lu Qibin and Li Yusong who received them. The person who came was a Contra Master from the Star Luo Empire. He directly stated his intention, then funded the academy, explained some things about Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing, and then left. It can be said that the other party acted vigorously and resolutely. Lu Qibin looked at the gold soul card with 100,000 gold soul coins in his hand and smiled helplessly. Shrek Academy is no longer short of money. With Xiao Xian as a gold magnet, these 100,000 gold soul coins can be said to be dispensable. However, the other party is actually willing to sponsor Shrek. Presumably Dean Flanders will not refuse when he comes back and finds out about this. After all, they were indeed not stingy with Dai Mubai's training, and treasures such as whale gum were given to him for free. After Zhao Wuji came back and heard about this incident, he was a little more appreciative of the forces behind Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing. Although hearing Dai Mubai describe the cruelty of family disputes before, it did sound inhumane, but the other elders' approach was fair and gave the children a chance to grow up and give them a chance to control my fate. Back at the academy, Dai Mubai also introduced Zhu Zhuqing to De Guyen and Ma Hongjun. Although Zhu Zhuqing now had the temperament of a cold and aloof lady, when she saw De Guyen, her whole mood also changed. Much more soothing. After all, although there are not many students and teachers in Shrek Academy, all of them are boys. Now that there is a girl here, Zhu Zhuqing is naturally happy. When Zhu Zhuqing learned that De Guyen, Oscar's girlfriend, was very talented, he was even more motivated. After all, the pressure she and Dai Mubai had to face now was not something that ordinary people could understand. De Guyen had heard Dai Mubai talk about him and Zhu Zhuqing before, so De Guyen was also very friendly to Zhu Zhuqing, and the two even lived directly in the same room, because De Guyen basically had no friends before she met Oscar again. Now that she has Zhu Zhuqing, she is very happy. Although Zhu Zhuqing was still a little shy, he agreed to live with Du Guyan. After all, this way the two girls could take care of each other, but this makes Oscar and Dai Mubai a little uncomfortable, because if Du Guyan and Zhu Zhuqing live together, the two of them have to consider each other's girlfriend if they want to get alone with their own little girlfriend. After the Zhu Zhuqing incident, Oscar returned to his original state of cultivation, practicing and studying with them every day. After Zhu Zhuqing anxiously observed Oscar's schedule and efforts, he also gained a deep understanding of Oscar. At the same time, he also understood why Dai Mubai admired Oscar so much, but this is just what she wants. After all, Zhu Zhuqing is a hardworking person. Now that he has come to Shrek Academy, he can not only make progress together with Dai Mubai, but also have a good big brother to lead him. She feels that if she had been earlier come here, maybe you will improve even more. Oscar was not stingy with Zhu Zhuqing, and took her very seriously to practice and make progress together. Dai Mubai also felt more grateful to Oscar for this. Moreover, Oscar knew that the martial spirits of Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing had a very high degree of compatibility. As long as the tacit understanding between the two was sufficient, it was a sure thing to cultivate the martial soul fusion skill, so Oscar also intended to train the two to practice martial soul fusion skills. Although Oscar himself has no experience in practicing martial soul fusion skills, this thing is not a secret. Oscar has also studied books on how to practice martial soul fusion skills before, so there is no problem in teaching the two of them to practice. Not to mention more, Oscar is at least no worse than the so-called master. Even because Oscar is a time traveler, he has a better understanding of these practices, and many of the methods he teaches are more avant-garde and advanced. Zhu Zhuqing is now at level 22. The first two soul skills are the amplification skill Netherworld Stab and the attack soul skill Netherworld 100 Claws. Zhu Zhuqing's speed is also very outstanding in the agility attack system, although his attack power is not as good as that of the power attack system's soul master. But as an agility attack type, her assassination is enough. And there was one thing that left Oscar speechless, and that was the positioning and role of agility attack type soul masters on the competition stage. If it were on a real battlefield, agility attack spirit masters would definitely be considered very difficult opponents, because you don't know where the opponent is hiding, and you don't know where the opponent will attack from or when they will attack. However, the agility attack type soul masters are a bit embarrassed on the competition stage. Their attack power is not as good as that of the strong attack type, and their defense power is only a little stronger than that of the auxiliary type, although they have an absolute advantage in speed. However, the competition on the competition stage is at least a battle between 7 people. It is basically impossible to sneak attack on the competition stage. Therefore, the agility attack system is originally for assassination and spying on intelligence. This positioning is somewhat limited when used on the competition stage. It's useless. After all, the competition stage only has such a large area. It is basically impossible to hide it without being discovered by the opponent and then conduct a sneak attack, but despite this, Zhu Zhuqing and Dai Mubai still possess martial soul fusion skills. In the future, as long as they can practice the martial soul fusion skills well, they can completely achieve the level of 1 + 1 being greater than 2, which can be regarded as making up for Zhu Zhuqing's lack of performance in the competition. Disadvantage on stage, so Oscar is not too worried about this. He just needs to teach them how to practice well now. 2 more months later, Oscar's soul power level officially broke through level 39, which is only 1 level away from level 40. And with Oscar's current training speed, he can break through in less than 4 months. Reach level 40, then get a 4th soul ring and be promoted to the soul sect. Du Guyan, Ma Hongjun, Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing have also upgraded their soul power by 1 level each. Now Du Guyan and Ma Hongjun are both at level 37, but Du Guyan has reached the peak of level 37, and Ma Hongjun is only at level 37. Mid-level, Dai Mubai was at level 33 and Zhu Zhuqing was at level 23. Their soul power was exactly 10 levels apart, and now there is only 1.5 years left before the arrival of the original Tang San and the others, and this time is enough for them to make a huge improvement. In addition to the improvement of Oscar and his group of students, Flanders has also successfully obtained the 8th soul ring, becoming the 2nd Contra powerhouse in Shrek Academy. Flanders' face was glowing when he returned. After all, becoming a Contra meant that he had officially entered the top group in the mainland. After all, although titled Douluo are the pinnacle of soul masters, the number of titled Douluo is too small, and soul Douluo are the main strong ones on the continent today. After all, existences of titled Douluo level will almost never appear on the mainland. They are basically either in retreat to break through to a higher level, or they have joined a major force to provide for their retirement. Only the powerful ones at the Contra level are the most active on the continent, and they have become the main high-level force. The first thing Guy Yu did after he came back was to take the test to teach Oscar, but Oscar would not disappoint the teacher. Even without Guy Yu's supervision, Oscar himself would always alert himself, would not let himself stop, and would always keep making progress. With the addition of Zhu Zhuqing, Shrek Academy has become more prosperous. Although the number of students still does not exceed that of teachers, this is also a good start. Moreover, after Flanders learned that Dai Mubai's family also sent 100,000 gold soul coins, he was even more happy. Just after he obtained the 8th soul ring and was promoted to soul Douluo, someone came to send money, and it was a full 100,000 gold soul coins. This is tantamount to double happiness for Flanders. If you count on his small soul master shop, you may not be able to earn 100,000 gold soul coins in this life. Speaking of Flanders' small soul master shop, Oscar would go shopping for treasure every once in a while. After all, in the original work, Tang San used 200 gold soul coins to find a piece of gold worth 10,000 or even 100,000 from Flanders. Gold Dragon's Beard Needle. However, Oscar's luck didn't seem to be very good. He didn't find any valuable treasures in Flanders' shop, let alone the Dragon's Beard Needle that could penetrate the soul defense. Of course, although the Dragon Beard Needle is awesome, it is actually not that awesome. The reason why it was able to penetrate Zhao Wuji's defense in the original work is because Zhao Wuji did not use all his strength. Otherwise, Tang San, who was at level 29, wouldn't be able to break Zhao Wuji's defense with a Dragon's Beard Needle. Otherwise Soul Saint would be too incompetent. But no matter what, Oscar didn't encounter the treasure of Dragon Beard Needle in Flanders' small shop. Of course, it may also be because he changed some of the economic situation in Shrek's original work, so Flanders didn't have much thought to run his small shop. This may also be part of the reason. After Flanders obtained the 8th spirit ring, Zhao Wuji worked harder to practice. After all, the boss had already broken through to Contra, and he, old Zhao, was not far behind. The teachers and students of Shrek Academy are working hard to practice. After several months of hard work and cultivating a tacit understanding, Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing finally developed their own martial soul fusion skill, Netherworld White Tiger. Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing relied on the Netherworld White Tiger, a junior soul master and junior great soul master, to be able to explode into a combat power comparable to that of the Soul Sect. Now let Dai Mubai face Oscar again. If he and Zhu Zhuqing can use the Netherworld White Tiger, Oscar will not be able to hit him directly to death with one punch. At least it can last for a few minutes, allowing Oscar to consume some soul power. And not to mention Oscar, even level 37 Ma Hongjun can defeat Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing's Netherworld White Tiger head-on, because although their martial soul fusion skills are powerful, after all, they have just been cultivated, and there are still quite a few flaws in their coordination. Moreover, the soul power level of the two of them is not high. Dai Mubai may be okay, after all, he is already level 33, but Zhu Zhuqing's soul power level is still too low. With only level 23, she is completely unable to truly exert the power of the Netherworld White Tiger. The power of, moreover, Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing themselves knew that in order to truly unleash the power of the Netherworld White Tiger, they must be at least level 70, after possessing the martial spirit avatar. If two soul masters above level 70 use Netherworld White Tiger, then as long as they can reach the soul Douluo level, their Netherworld White Tiger can be comparable to title Douluo. If it was a title Douluo level Netherworld White Tiger, then it would be possible for an ordinary title Douluo to fight against a super Douluo. And it is precisely because of this that the style of their Star Luo Empire is so iron-blooded, because they have the strength and the ability to manage the entire empire. In fact, if it weren't for the existence of Wuhuan Palace, the strength of Xingluo Empire could have destroyed Tiando Empire. However, Wuhuan Palace was sandwiched between the two empires and became a natural one. This made the two empires unable to. A big war breaks out, please collect, recommend, and vote for me monthly. I've been so busy these 2 days during the Chinese New Year. I really can't add more updates. The author can only guarantee 4,000 words a day. I'll see if I can hit it after the new year. Chapter 88 Battle Training. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. In the afternoon, on the soul fighting stage in Shrek Academy Square, Oscar held a jade sword and faced Ma Hongjun, Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing. Du Guyan did not participate in this spirit fight, otherwise with her third spirit ability, this game would be meaningless, because except for Oscar, not even Ma Hongjun dared to touch Du Guyan's third soul skill, otherwise he would only end up being poisoned and falling to the ground. If treatment is not received in time, it is very likely that the person will die. Zhao Wuji and Guy Yu were drinking tea on a high platform nearby. Du Guyan stood beside them, his eyes always locked on Oscar. Oscar faced 3 people alone without any panic. The jade sword flew in his hand, and in the blink of an eye, several sword energy flew towards Ma Hongjun and the others. Ma Hongjun let out a phoenix cry, fanned a pair of fire wings behind his back, and his whole body rose directly into the sky. At the same time, a terrifying line of phoenix fire erupted from his mouth to intercept Oscar's sword energy. Dai Mubai stood in front of Zhu Zhuqing, and a golden light wave also spurted out from his mouth, intercepting Oscar's sword energy together with Ma Hongjun's phoenix fire line. The sword energy, the line of fire and the light waves collided together, creating a wave of air in an instant. And then Oscar held the sword and rushed towards Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing on the opposite side. At the same time, Oscar mastered the sword technique, and in the blink of an eye, a fire sword and an ice sword condensed into shape, heading towards Ma Hongjun in the sky. This is the most basic and most difficult sword attack in Kendo, because it requires the soul master to have extremely strong and tenacious mental power to do it. And Oscar's mental power is now comparable to that of the Soul Emperor. It is not a problem at all to control a sword with 1 against 3, and he is even very capable. When Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing saw Oscar charging in with his sword, they looked at each other and their figures suddenly overlapped. They had no intention of wasting any more soul power. The 2 figures slowly overlapped, and in a burst of black and white halo, a 3-meter-long, 2-meter-tall netherworld white tiger suddenly appeared and let out a terrifying tiger roar at Oscar. The terrifying air wave stopped Oscar's progress, but it was too naive to just want to stop Oscar. I saw the jade sword in Oscar's hand reversed, and a terrifying sword energy began to brew. The next moment, a terrifying invisible sword energy suddenly flew out, which was far more powerful and oppressive than Oscar's previous ordinary sword energy attack. The most bizarre thing is that the netherworld white tiger can't see the trajectory of the attack, and can only feel its terrifying sense of crisis. The second form of Xuanyue's sword technique, invisible slash. However, Dai Mubai, who is now at level 33, and Zhu Zhuqing, who is at level 23, although the martial soul fusion skills they jointly perform may not necessarily be Oscar's match, it definitely greatly enhances their strength to the extreme. Not weaker than a strong man at the soul sect level. In the meantime, the netherworld white tiger suddenly opened its huge mouth, proving that a terrifying light wave condensed in the big mouth and suddenly spat out forward. Although the trajectory of the slash cannot be seen, Oscar attacks directly from the front, so the slash can only come from the front. The sudden burst of light waves did block Oscar's attack, but the netherworld white tiger's light waves also dissipated. The netherworld white tiger is not surprised by this. After all, this is not the first time they have dealt with Oscar. Although Oscar is only a food-based soul master, his swordsmanship talent is extremely superb. Among the same level, Oscar can completely rely on him. The way of swordsmanship is to fight across levels. Of course, this also includes the blessing of physical fitness and external soul bones, which are comprehensively determined. While Oscar was fighting against the netherworld white tiger below, he was using his mental power to attack Ma Hongjun with his sword in the air. I saw 2 sharp swords, 1 ice and 1 fire, attacking Ma Hongjun from 2 directions, making him unable to attack Oscar from the front. He could only choose to deal with these 2 jade swords. Otherwise, once he was distracted, he would be attacked by these 2 terrifying swords. Wounded by the sharp sword, what disgusted Ma Hongjun the most was that Oscar's 2 jade swords were made from the condensed 2 elements he mastered. The fire sword's flame power was not inferior to his phoenix flame, and the ice power of the ice sword was able to restrain him, which made Ma Hongjun unable to do anything for a while. After all, his third soul skill increased the power of a single target attack, but it could not break through the flanking attack of the two jade swords, so Ma Hongjun could only rely on his self-created soul skills, the Flame Phoenix series, to deal with Oscar's jade sword, and this can only ensure that he does not lose, and there is no chance to support the Netherworld White Tiger. Ma Hongjun can only be helpless about this. It is not that he is too good, but that the boss is too unfaithful. If Oscar had not acquired the two elements of ice and fire, just relying on the jade sword with cutting properties would never have been able to stop him for so long. After all, the power of his phoenix flame is very powerful. Gai Yu and Zhao Wuji, who were watching the battle, were also very satisfied with Oscar's ability to attack the enemy with a sword. Especially Gai Yu. In his opinion, Oscar had completely obtained his true inheritance. As long as he can persist in the future, Oscar will become a master of swordsmanship. There is even a possibility of surpassing him. Of course, this possibility will take decades to come, and at least Oscar's soul power level will need to be Super Gai Yu. After all, Gai Yu is now level 88. No matter how evil Oscar is, he is only at level 38 now, and is still a long way from surpassing him. Because Ma Hongjun was restrained by Oscar's two jade swords, he was unable to provide support to the Netherworld White Tiger. While Oscar could concentrate on dealing with the Netherworld White Tiger, Oscar did not choose to use sword energy to attack all the time. Instead, he got close and engaged with the Netherworld White Tiger in melee, and with Oscar's physical fitness, coupled with the 50% strength of the attached soul bone and the passive increase in attack, even the Netherworld White Tiger's power is far inferior to him. Only 5 minutes had passed, and the huge body of the Netherworld White Tiger was already covered with scars. Moreover, due to the defense against Oscar's attack, the Netherworld White Tiger's soul power was consumed tremendously. The martial soul fusion skill that could have been maintained for 15 minutes was reduced to 5 minutes. It disappeared quietly after a few minutes. Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing fell directly under the soul fighting platform. Fortunately, Gai Yu and Zhao Wuji were there, catching them instantly and stuffing 2 large super recovery sausages into their mouths. After dealing with the Netherworld White Tiger, Oscar's eyes were directly locked on Ma Hongjun. Oscar gently threw the jade sword in his hand, and the jade sword hovered in front of his feet. Oscar stepped on the jade sword unhurriedly. The whole person lifted into the air with his sword. Oscar himself didn't need to take action at all. Controlling the ice sword and fire sword with his strong mental power was enough for Ma Hongjun to deal with it wholeheartedly. High in the sky, Oscar stepped and sat directly on the side of the jade sword, looking at Ma Hongjun, who was struggling with his 2 jade swords with a rather bored expression. Oscar held his chin with one hand and controlled 2 jade swords with the other to attack. Sometimes he used the flame sword energy, and sometimes he burst out with ice slashes, which made Ma Hongjun extremely depressed. When Ma Hongjun activated his third soul skill, the 2 jade swords suddenly merged into one. The fusion of ice and fire directly cut out of fusion sword energy. It was Oscar's own sword move, Ice and Fire 2 Heavens. The 2 layers of ice and fire not only have amazing attack power, but can also produce a second terrifying explosion, which directly overturns Ma Hongjun. The last 2 jade swords were placed in front of Ma Hongjun, pressed against his chest. Ma Hongjun looked helplessly at Oscar, who was sitting on the jade swords in the distance and was bored, and sighed. "Boss, we lost again. By the way, how did you practice? Even if your soul power level has improved quickly, how come you have also improved so quickly in swordsmanship?" Hearing this, Oscar smiled slightly. "Nothing but my familiarity." And below, Gai Yu and Zhao Wuji looked at such a stinky Oscar. Instead of laughing, they nodded in agreement very seriously, because they all saw Oscar's efforts. Du Guyan had just settled Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing, who had brought Gai Yu and Zhao Wuji up. When they heard Oscar's words, their little faces turned red. This is her man. Although he likes to show off, he really has the strength, and it is precisely because of him that Du Guyan has made the progress he has today. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me monthly. Happy New Year to all readers. May I wish you good fortune and bring you the red envelope. I wish my brothers good luck and wealth in the new year, and good luck every year. I have been really busy these past 2 days. I am going to my grandparents' house tomorrow to pay New Year greetings, so I really don't have time. Now that the author can guarantee continuous updates, it is not easy not to ask for leave. Please readers, please understand, thank you, of course, if anyone with red envelopes is willing to give a reward, the author will be grateful. Finally, please ask for a New Year's monthly pass. Thank you. Chapter 89 Half a Year, Level 40. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Oscar sat on the jade sword and slowly came to the high platform and landed next to Du Guyen. Du Guyen handed him a cup of fruit tea. Oscar took the fruit tea, took a sip and looked at Guy Yu. How is it? Teacher, Guy Yu nodded with satisfaction. Yes, the way of swordsmanship has improved a lot, and the art of handling swords has become more refined. Oscar smiled happily when he heard this. That's all because the teacher taught you well. Hearing this, Guy Yu's smile remained unchanged. Be poor, your talent is above mine. If it weren't for the fact that you don't have a sword spirit, your achievements today wouldn't even be this. Hearing this, Ma Hongjun, who had just landed next to Oscar, widened his eyes. Teacher Guy Yu, your words are too exaggerated. The boss is already so powerful now. If the external soul bone turns into a martial spirit, wouldn't that really go against the grain? After hearing Ma Hongjun's words, Dai Mubai, who had barely recovered some soul power after taking the super recovery sausage, nodded in agreement. Brother Ao is already such a monster, but you didn't expect that this is not his limit? Zhu Zhuqing beside Dai Mubai also nodded. Yes, Mubai, Xiao Ma and I are no match for Brother Ao. I didn't expect that this is not his limit. Oscar put the cup in his hand on the table and said, everything has its own gains and losses, and you don't have to look at me like this. Everything I have now is due to my own efforts. Although my current strength is also supported by external things, in the final analysis it is still my own problem, so you don't have to envy me. Your talents are very good. As long as you work hard now, your future achievements will not be lower than mine. Although Oscar's words were somewhat comforting, the truth behind them was true. As the saying goes, the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago, and the second best time is now. As long as you can realize your own problems and solve them, then no one's future will be any worse. Ma Hongjun, Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing nodded at the same time, and they also listened to Oscar's words. Du Guyen next to Oscar also looked at Oscar with bright eyes, and couldn't help but said, Xiao Ao, you are still as outstanding as ever. After a pause, Du Guyen also said firmly, but I will try my best to keep up with your pace, and I will never be left behind by you. Oscar turned his head and looked at Du Guyen gently. Don't worry, I won't abandon you. After all, we are a couple. Hearing this, Du Guyen lowered his head shyly, his face turned red and he didn't know what he was thinking. Ma Hongjun was cheering from the side. Hey, my boss is so good at coaxing people, my sister-in-law is blushing. Guy Yu and Zhao Wuji looked at these energetic children and smiled happily. In the following time, Oscar and the others in Shrek Academy continued to make progress. Under the leadership of Oscar, the #1 self-discipline leader, today's Shrek Academy can be said to be prosperous, but what Oscar doesn't know is that Flanders, who has broken through level 80, has told Xing Jin's good brother Yu Xiaojiang the good news about his breakthrough, because although Yu Xiaojiang is now in Notting City, he is also with Fu Rand as connections. After all, he also has to find a good future path for his disciple Tang San, and Tang San is now almost 11 years old. At the age of 12, Tang San will graduate from Notting College, so Yu Xiaojiang needs to find a good path for Tang San. College for later study, and his goal is Flanders Shrek Academy. In order to carry forward his Shrek Academy, and at the same time to ensure the teaching quality of their Shrek Academy for Yu Xiaojiang, Flanders has also broken through to the Contra-level. Information was told to Yu Xiaojiang. Yu Xiaojiang was naturally happy about this. After all, his friend's breakthrough in strength was indeed something worth being happy about. What's more, he, Flanders and Lu Erlong, the leader of the martial soul fusion skills of the Golden Iron Triangle formed by the three of them is Yu Xiaojiang. Now that Flanders has broken through a level, he also represents his in disguise. Strength has been improved. Yes, this is the case in Yu Xiaojiang's opinion. After all, in his opinion, without him, there would be no martial soul fusion skills between the three of them, and it is precisely because of their martial soul fusion skills that Yu Xiao was able to know the power of higher-level soul masters with only 20 levels of soul power. It is precisely because of the powerful martial soul fusion skills that Yu Xiao didn't care so much about his own cultivation just now. After all, his talent is here, and level 29 is already as good as the sky. Besides, even if he cannot break through level 30 in his lifetime, so what? Doesn't he, Flanders and Lu Erlong's martial soul fusion skills have to be led by him? Of course, except for Yu Xiaojiang, everyone else basically knew nothing about this. Even Flanders did not know what Yu Xiaojiang was thinking. After all, Yu Xiaojiang would not express such thoughts in front of Flanders. Say it face to face, and because of Flanders' small move, some things later went beyond Oscar's expectations, but it didn't affect the overall situation, so it doesn't matter even if Oscar doesn't know now. After all, he just needs to follow his own path, and the future will be smooth. Under the leadership of Oscar, everyone at Shrek Academy fell into hard training for a long time. Although the process was painful, the results were indeed very satisfactory to everyone. Half a year passed by in a flash, and Oscar's soul power finally broke through from level 38 to level 40. Now he only needs one soul ring to break through to the soul sect realm. Oscar had made detailed plans for his fourth soul ring a long time ago. Now that his soul power has been broken through, it's time to set out to hunt for the fourth soul ring he dreamed of. In addition to Oscar's improvement, other students at Shrek Academy have also made huge improvements. Among them, Duguyan's soul power has reached the peak of level 39, and is only one step away from level 40. Ma Hongjun has just broken through to level 39, and is one step closer to level 40. According to his training speed, he can stably improve to level 40 in basically 3 months. Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing have also steadily increased their soul power by 2 levels. Zhu Zhuqing has reached level 25, while Dai Mubai has reached level 35. Now, it has been less than 10 years since Tang San and the others came to Shrek Academy in the original novel. There is less than a year and a half left. It can be said that in a year and a half, the timeline will come to the place where Tang San's dream began in the original work, but everything will be different, because with the existence of the little butterfly Oscar, whether it is Duguyan, Ma Hongjun, Dai Mubai, Zhu Zhuqing, and all the teachers at Shrek Academy, their fate has been quietly determined. Changes have occurred. Even because of the addition of the little butterfly Oscar, the fate of the protagonists Tang San, Xiao Wu and Ning Rongrong in the original work will also change dramatically in a year and a half. It's just that Oscar has already expected this. After all, a butterfly in the eastern continent can cause a storm in the western continent by flapping its wings. What about Oscar, a big butterfly who has already changed some developments in the original work? But now Oscar has no time to think about this. Having broken through level 40, he is now busy preparing to set off to obtain the fourth soul ring. Oscar can guarantee that after obtaining the fourth soul ring, his strength will undergo earth-shaking changes again, and may even change the cultivation path of a food-type soul master. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me monthly. Happy New Year's Eve, brother. I'm going to blow up the fireworks. Chapter 90 Lovesickness, Target Mirror Beast. You are listening at NovelFold.audio. In the early morning, after Oscar and Duguyan packed their bags, they set off directly with Gai Yu. Their destination was the far north of the mainland, known as the Human Forbidden Zone. The reason why the far north is a restricted area for humans is because the ground is extremely cold and ordinary humans and beasts cannot survive at all. Only powerful soul beasts can survive in that place. In the eyes of most people, the range of the far north is no less dangerous than that of the Star Luo forest. In fact, this is also true. The range and number of soul beast groups in the far north are no less than those of the Star Luo forest. The only difference is that 99.9% of the attributes of spirit beasts living in the far north are water or ice. Only a very small, specific part may have some variation. The reason why Oscar's fourth soul ring choice this time is a bitter cold place like the far north that he has never been to is also because of Oscar's own decision, because the goal of his fourth soul ring selection is a A special spirit beast that only lives in the far north. The reason why Dugu Yan went with her was because her soul power had reached the peak of level 39, which was only one step away from level 40. It was possible to break through within a month, so she went directly with her and broke through halfway. Just find a suitable soul ring to absorb it. Moreover, the soul beast Oscar needs has the best attributes in the far north. If you want to find it at once, you also need some European emperor attributes, so Oscar had actually made plans to stay in the far north for a long time, but when he told Guy Yu about the soul beast he needed, Guy Yu seemed to know some traces of that soul beast, because before Guy Yu came to Shrek Academy, he lived in seclusion in the far north and practiced hard. Because his Frost Moon sword has ice attributes, the far north is very suitable for him to practice. It is simply a natural mimicry training ground. Guy Yu has been in the far north for decades, and it can be said that he knows the place relatively well. Therefore, the three of them did not have too many delays or accidents along the way, and it only took half a month to reach the far north. The periphery of the land, then, under the leadership of Guy Yu, the three of them went directly to the place where Guy Yu lived in seclusion in the far north. The place where Guy Yu lives in seclusion is located in the inner periphery of the far north. That location is the junction area between the Millennium Soul Beast and the 10,000-year Soul Beast. If you want to survive in that kind of place, you need at least strength above the Soul King level. If you want to live in that kind of place for a long time and want to ensure your own safety, then you need at least a Soul Emperor level of cultivation. After all, in this place in the far north, those ice attribute Soul Beasts have the natural amplification of the field, and their strength is far superior to that of Soul Masters of the same level, unless the Soul Master's own attributes are. Also suitable for this place, Guy Yu's residence was dug out on the mountainside of an iceberg. It was a beautiful courtyard. Although Guy Yu had not been back for more than 3 years, there was not even a single weed in the yard except for the abundant snow. Nothing. A small wooden house with a wooden structure is located here, and there are no soul beasts to intrude. It can be said to be a natural place of seclusion. After arriving at this paradise-like place, Oscar was not in a hurry to obtain the fourth soul ring. Instead, he took out the acacia heartbroken red that had been prepared in advance. That's right, it was this lovesick heartbroken red strain known as the Emperor of Immortal Grade. In Shrek Academy, Oscar did not give it to Dugu Yan because he did not give it to Dai Mubai or Zhu Zhuqing. Not even the Hunyuan pill was given. So in order to avoid unnecessary trouble, Oscar should just not let them see him. Moreover, Dugu Yan had just been exposed to toxins in his body during the previous period, and his body was still in the accumulation stage, so it was not suitable to take such a great tonic, but now that Dugu Yan's body has fully recovered, there will be no problem taking the immortal elixir again. When Dugu Yan saw Oscar taking out the immortal emperor, he immediately thought of the poignant love story Oscar told him. Legend has it that a long time ago, there was a peerless young man. He is quiet by nature and likes to plant flowers and trees. His garden is full of green lotus and lotus roots, and is a riot of purple and red. Usually I like to sing to the moths in flowers and raise my glass to the moon. I feel infinitely sad when the flowers fall and become red all over the ground. The flowers must be swept away, the ground dug and buried, and weeping again and again before we can do anything. As the saying goes, love moves heaven and earth, but fate is lost. His quality of loving flowers to the core of his bones moved the flower fairy in the sky. The flower fairy secretly came down to earth to marry him. From then on, the two of them enjoyed a happy life together and spent a happy life together, but who knows, the good times don't last long. When the gods learned about this, they were very angry and ordered the flower fairy to be transferred back to the gods. As a result, the walls collapsed, the flowers and trees faded, and the garden became desolate. When he heard this, Dugu Yan's eyes were already slightly red, and the crystal clear in them. One day, a white-haired old man came and told him that his beloved white peony in the garden was the incarnation of his beloved wife. As long as the flower was destroyed, the flower fairy would lose her immortal body and be banished to the mortal world to be with him. Get married again, but don't ruin the flowers. After saying this, the old man turned into a breeze and left. From then on, the young man suddenly woke up and regretted that he had treated the flowers poorly, and began to take care of the flowers and plants carefully. Although he loved his wife, he could not bear to burn the peonies, so he loved them even more. He cried to the flowers day and night, his tears dried up, and his heart broke. He died of missing her heartbroken. When he was dying, he bled on the red petals of lovesickness. Although this story sounds ridiculous, it is indeed touching enough, and lovesick heartbroken red is indeed worthy of the title of immortal emperor. After all, in the original work, after Xiao Wu sacrificed herself, she turned into a dumb rabbit. It was because she ate the heartbroken red that she was able to be resurrected later. Otherwise, Tang San would have lost his beloved wife because of this. At this time, Oscar, who was standing in front of Dugu Yan, was holding a very strange fairy herb in his hand. It was a white flower that looked very ordinary. The flower was the size of a palm, shaped like a peony, and had no grass leaves. A large stone is connected under the rhizome. The stone is completely black. From the way Oscar holds it, it can be seen that its weight is extremely shocking. On top of that white flower, there were some astonishing touches of bright red, and the traces of bright red like blood looked a bit thrilling. This is the heartbroken red, the emperor among immortals. Oscar said to Dugu Yan, "Sister, the name of this very medicinal herb is acacia heartbroken red. It is a divine treasure among fairy medicinal herbs." Dugu Yan's eyes moved slightly, staring at Oscar with vigor, because she knew that this was the fairy herb that Oscar had selected for her long ago, and it was also the most special one. "I have told you the method before. If you want to pick this acacia heartbroken red, you must think about your loved one when picking. When you are sincere, spit out a mouthful of blood and sprinkle it on the petals. If you are half-hearted, even if I vomit blood and die, I can't even pick the flower off. If the flower is removed, the lovesickness will never wither as long as it is by the owner's side. The stone under the flower is called wuju. If it is forcibly destroyed, the medicinal power of this acacia heartbroken red will be completely lost, which means that the immortal product will be completely destroyed, so I will keep it until today. Of course, if you eat this grass, it will have the power of immortality like the world. I conservatively estimate that as long as you take it, your soul power can be increased by at least 10 levels, and your body will be completely transformed." Hearing this, not to mention Dugu Yan, even Gai Yu on the side had to sigh at the wonder of this immortal emperor. Moreover, he has also experienced the power of fairy herbs. Without the ink jade divine bamboo pill that Oscar gave him, he would not be able to reach level 88 now, and his martial soul would not evolve. At this time, Dugu Yan looked at Oscar with affection in his eyes, and took the lovesickness from his hand. After a long time, Dugu Yan spat out a mouthful of blood and sprinkled it on the heartbroken red of lovesickness, infected by the blood donation. The lovesickness broke out with a strong red light. It was already evening at this time. The lovesickness between Oscar and Dugu Yan swayed slightly, and then slowly moved from the black stone. Slowly falling off, the wuju stone turned into powder, as if all the energy was fed back to the lovesickness. This lovesick red plant was suspended quietly between the two people's chests, occasionally swaying and flashing red light, reflecting the lovers looking at each other lovingly. Under the reflection of the red light, the two people's bodies gradually became close to each other, and their four lips overlapped together. Gai Yu looked at the two young men who suddenly kissed with a confused look on his face, and then left the yard silently, not knowing where he went. After a long time, the lips parted. Dugu Yan held the acacia heartbroken red plant in her slender hand. Dugu Yan held the lovesickness in her left hand, gently stroked the flowers and leaves with her right hand, and said softly, "Xiao Ao, that story is true, right?" Oscar nodded and said softly, "Although the relationship between us should not be judged by a flower, it can indeed prove our love. Eat it, it will give you the best help, and you can always stay with me. Let us encourage and make progress together." Dugu Yan shook his head and said affectionately, "No, Xiao Ao. How can anyone be willing to take such a fairy grass? Didn't you say that as long as it recognizes its owner, it will never wither? I want it to stay with me all the time, love it and pity it." Hearing this, Oscar always felt as if he had experienced something. Soon Oscar remembered, wasn't this what Xiao Wu said to Tang San in the original work? But now Dugu Yan and Xiao Wu don't know each other at all, okay? Could it be that this fairy herb has a different kind of charm for the people who pick it? But when thinking about this plot in the original work, Oscar couldn't help but sigh at Xiao Wu, a love-minded rabbit. It is obvious that he is a soul beast, and the first priority should be to cultivate to level 60 and enter the mature stage, but he is still in love and cannot extricate himself. It's no wonder that he was hunted down and sacrificed later. Of course, this may also be the author's own trap, forcibly subduing his intelligence in order to arrange a 100,000-year soul ring for the protagonist, but it doesn't matter. Oscar naturally won't let Du Guyan keep this lovesickness red. Such a treasure can only be his own if he eats it into his body. As for the rabbit Xiao Wu, after all, he is destined to be a soul ring, so who should he be? Anyway, although Oscar has no objection to her, if there is a chance, Oscar will never let it go. Oscar looked at Du Guyan and explained, "Sister, this lovesickness red plant is indeed pitiful, but what I want to tell you is that in this world, only strength is the root of protecting everything. Without strength, in the end maybe nothing can be protected. So my suggestion is that you take this Acacia Broken Heart Red strain to maximize its effects. As I said before, after taking this Acacia Heartbroken Red strain, your fourth soul ring will most likely be able to absorb a 10,000-year level soul ring. The improvement of a 10,000-year soul ring is far greater than you imagine. Much bigger. And even your martial spirit may evolve as a result. The value of taking it is far greater than collecting it." Oscar's tone was very sincere, and Du Guyan began to waver in her heart after hearing Oscar's words. Seeing Du Guyan wavering, Oscar continued, "One more thing, I am only 13 years and 4 months old now, but you are already 17 years old, 4 years older than me. But my soul power has already reached level 40, and you are only level 39. If you don't use this lovesickness, you will be pulled further and further away from me in the future. I don't want you to be just the woman behind me. I hope you can stand with me to face the future." As soon as these words came out, Du Guyan's pupils trembled slightly. "Shall we face the future together?" Oscar held Du Guyan's right hand and said, "Do you want to watch me go further and further away, and you can never catch up?" Du Guyan shook his head. "No, I want to make progress and grow with you." After saying that, Du Guyan's eyes became firm and he said to Oscar, "Xiao Ao, I understand, I will not be willful." Oscar let go of Du Guyan's right hand and said softly, "Go ahead and take this Acacia Broken Heart Red, and then I will accompany you to find a suitable fourth soul ring." Du Guyan nodded firmly and headed towards the wooden house behind him. Oscar looked at Du Guyan's back and was looking forward to what kind of improvement this immortal emperor would bring to Du Guyan. After all, in the original work, the lovesick Red One sacrificed her soul to Xiao Wu. Saved. Watching Du Guyan enter the wooden house, Oscar turned around and planned to ask Guy Yu about the mirror beast, but found that Guy Yu was no longer there. That's right, Oscar's fourth spirit ring has long been determined to be the mirror beast. In the original novel, it was this spirit beast that changed Oscar, turning him from a food-type spirit master who could only assist to an all-powerful one. The Soul Master, but now that Oscar's physical fitness and mental strength have reached the Soul Emperor level, it is possible to absorb a 30,000-year-old soul ring, so the target is naturally placed on the mirror shadow beast. After all, Oscar now has no other offensive abilities except the attached soul bone, which is still too monotonous compared to most soul masters. If he could obtain the soul ring of the mirror beast, then Oscar could become an all-powerful soul master like the original. Directly transforming from a food system into a versatile master. Not seeing the teacher, Oscar was slightly startled. "Where is my teacher? Where did the old teacher like me go?" After Oscar searched around and found no trace of Guy Yu, he had no choice but to give up and protect Du Guyan peacefully. After all, this is already the inner perimeter of the far north, and there may be soul beasts without eyes appearing at any time. Please recommend and vote for me. Monthly tickets. Jinmu wishes everyone a happy new year. I wish all readers good luck every year. By the way, please ask for monthly tickets and recommendation votes. Thank you.